Broadcasting across the state of Wisconsin on the Civic Media Radio Network and around the world on the Civic Media app. This is the Dom Salvia Show. And now, here's your host, Dom Salvia.
And welcome to the Dom Salvia Show. Thank you so much for tuning in. You can be a big part anytime. Join us on the lines or on the text stream, 855-752-4842, 855-75-CIVIC. Just P.S. taking the day off today. She promises she'll be back tomorrow. Aaron Z. Zommers, man, stepping in. Thank you, Aaron. Welcome to the show, man. Appreciate you helping out.
Yeah, for sure. Happy to step in.
No, it's going to be a fun day. It's the day after St. Patty's Day. I mean, is anybody really getting anything done? I'm just curious about that. Plus, we got March Madness starting up soon. People are filling their brackets out. I mean, I think production is going really down really fast here in this country. But that's okay. We gotta play too. All work and no play makes Jack a dull boy.
You know, a good way to avoid post St. Patty's Day hangover is to eat too much corned beef. That's what I did, so I didn't have any room for Guinness.
Oh, see, I love corned beef, man. I wasn't always a fan. A good friend of mine, his mother prepared some of the best stuff, and now we got some recipes. My wife makes them good. I've really come a long ways with my love of corned beef. But, you know, the other thing that really gets me is the green beer. I mean, really, you know, you got to die. I mean, and Chicago does the river, and everyone gets their teeth and their tongue all green from the beer. It's a little silly. I did not partake in any green beer, but Maggie did leave a Guinness for me yesterday. Split it with Jess in honor. Yeah, wasn't that nice? And so thank you, Maggie. And folks, don't worry. Maggie and I are going to start doing our thing again next week. Schedule's a little crazy this week. On Monday, I will go on Maggie's show at 3:30. And then on Tuesday, she'll come around this fine program from 4 until 4:30. So we'll catch up with Maggie Dawn starting again next week. So thank you for that. I know it's a lot of fun and people respond positively to that. I get to hang out with Maggie, so it's always good. You know, as we're preparing for the show today, the amount of news, the amount of information coming out, and it's consequential. You know, it's not just words on a page. Like, things are happening on a state level, the local level, certainly, and then, of course, on a national level, international level. Lots of intrigue, lots of challenges between the co-equal branches of government, and who's saying what, and who's impeaching who, and you know, who's gonna win, who's gonna lose. Well, unfortunately, when this kind of stuff goes on, I think we all kind of lose. But I guess this is what we voted for. But there are some very specific issues that actually aren't too sexy, but I think are pretty serious and are kind of damning. And I think we need to start there. And of course, we'll get to Brad Schimmel, you know, another Trump and Kirk, and not James T. Kirk, man, the bad Kirk. Charlie Kirk in Wisconsin, stumping for Brad Schimmel. If that tells you everything you need to know about who to vote for, yes, her name is Susan Crawford. And John Nichols over at the Cap Times writes an article today. We'll probably get there as well. You know, reminiscing about the debate when Schimmel was called Elon Schimmel. I think I love it, man. Everything with the money in the politics, and certainly the money in this race, as we reported on yesterday. Wisconsin Democracy Campaign is estimating that this Wisconsin Supreme Court race will run in excess of $100 million. Man, it's a Dr. Evil election. And of course, we're going to continue on this conversation. The angry Dems. Man, Dems are angry. We got a struggle going on. We had all the House Dems, save one, voted against this quote-unquote continuing resolution that gets over to the Senate. Yeah, well, the leadership over there, including Chuck Schumer, they decided to go for it. And there's a blowback from that, and it's continuing. And I'm still having conversations privately with friends and family in this regard. They're bringing it up to me. So it's obviously things the folks want to talk about. And, of course, Donald Trump and his battles with the courts. One judge inquiring as to the specifics of whether or not his order was violated when he ordered the planes to turn back that were apparently filled of, Honduran, Venezuelan gang members going not to Venezuela. We're going to get to that as well, and how this Department of Justice and how this administration is viewing their battles with the justice, with the courts. Let's put it that way. So much so that, hell, even Chief Justice John Roberts, man, he got into it today as well. And you mentioned, Aaron, that as you were expecting nothing to happen, the fact that Roberts said something, it seems kind of positive, right?
Yeah, I mean, with the Supreme Court ruling that Trump can do pretty much anything he wants, I was really expecting radio silence from them. I'm glad to see that at least today, Chief Justice John Roberts is standing up for democracy.
He said something. Well, he's standing up, and this we're going to get into it because I agree with that. At first, I was like, "Oh, this is at least it's a comment. It's pushing back." But the Atlantic, some authors over there are also bringing up what they're pushing back about. We're going to get there as well. So much to get to. So we appreciate you folks hanging out with us today. Join us 855-752-4842 855-75-Civic. So let's start. I know a few folks in this fine audience remember it all, but I used to work on a farm, and I tell that story all the time. It's like when I was growing up, my father would tell me all the time, the dad jokes and the dad stories. I do this and do it, and I enjoy doing it. That's why I keep on doing it. Pa used to tell me, I used to work for 50 cents an hour bagging groceries when he was a teenager. He told me that story until the day he died. 50 cents an hour. So my version of my dad's story is I used to work on my neighbor's farm when I was growing up. And I'm very specific to point out I did not live on a farm. I worked on my neighbor's farm. And if you've ever worked in farming or lived in farming or anywhere around farming, some folks really love it. Some folks really not so much. As one who worked on my neighbor's farm, I didn't have to be there 24/7. So, and when you grow up in that environment, man, it's work, and you can't escape it till you're 18. I mean, it is literally your family. It's a family business. Let's put it that way. And this was a dairy farm, and we had about 110 milking cows, and had the calves and the heifers and the whole thing. So it was a huge operation, several barns, and now it's a park, like it never happened. And although it was not an agricultural farm, I can certainly appreciate. Drove the tractors, got up in the morning, did the things, baled the hay, all that, right? So I have, as you can imagine, an affinity and respect and appreciation for farming. Man, it is a tough job, and somebody's got to do it. And I decided long ago that would not be me. It was great. I can't believe it let me operate that machinery. I can't believe I still have all my fingers and toes, because there's a lot of moving parts on a farm. You know what I'm saying? I mean, these are some expensive, big tractors and machinery, and man, chains, links, blades, blowers. Could be dangerous. Why do I bring all that up? Because it's a tough gig, and of course we need farmers. We need the food, right? Or do we? The Milwaukee Journal reports, Madeline Heim, the title, Trump administration cancels program that paid Wisconsin farmers to grow for food pantries.
America first.
I mean, what? Don't need the food? And it's a little lengthy. We're going to read into it a little bit. Tony Evers' comments on the end of this. We're not going to get to the entirety of it, but it makes you wonder. Is this what the people voted for? When you voted for Donald Trump, did you think that he was going to end farmers getting paid to grow food for the food pantries? I don't know. As the Journal Sentinel reports, making it personal. Get to know some folks here. Over the past 2 years, Christy Allen sent around 3,000 pounds of honey to the St. Croix Valley Food Bank in northwest Wisconsin. Allen runs the Bee's Knees in Burnett County, where she sells honey and bees and teaches beekeeping classes. I love bees, man. Bees are the coolest thing, especially honeybees. Never kill the bees, folks. Always help the bees, like the spiders. Always help them. She participated in the Wisconsin Local Food Purchase Assistance Program, which paid Wisconsin farmers to produce food for local pantries and other organizations working to combat hunger. Without the program, she said, she couldn't have afforded to give that much honey to a food bank. She was paid $25,000 the first year and $15,000 the second year to do so. Now, it wasn't just a financial win. It was also a gratifying one, too. She got a handwritten note from a woman across the state who had received her honey and wanted to express gratitude for Allen's hard work. And if you ever had homemade honey, man, that stuff is so good. It's not even right. It's like it's heaven. Back to the article. On March 7th, the U.S. Department of Agriculture terminated the program, which was part of a nationwide effort to support local farmers, feed under-resourced communities, and increase the resiliency of the food supply chain. I got an idea. Let's stop that. Let's not support local farmers. Let's not feed under-resourced communities. Let's not increase the resiliency of the food supply chain, because that's what Trump's doing. In the letter canceling the program, USDA Deputy Administrator Jack Tuckwiller wrote that it, quote, no longer effectuates agency priorities. No longer effectuates priorities. No longer a priority to support local farmers. No longer a priority to feed under-resourced communities. No longer a priority to increase the resiliency of the food supply chain. During the 23-24 growing season, 289 Wisconsin farms participated in the program, providing $4.2 million worth of food to more than 250 pantries and schools, according to a news release about the termination from the Wisconsin Farmers Union, which was a program partner. Using the money from the program, Allen, the beekeeper, was able to hire a part-time employee with her help with the physically demanding work of beekeeping. With that income now disappearing, she's unsure if she can keep that person on. Yeah, there's a jobs component to this as well, right? This idea that there's waste, fraud, and abuse, there was no evidence of that, Allen said, referring to Donald Trump's push to drastically reduce the size and reach of the federal government. Having a dependable market that supports a healthy society seems like a no-brainer to me. Yeah, and to me too, and probably most of you listening to my voice right now. $4.2 million worth of food, 289 farms, 250 pantries, and school. This program no longer effectuates agency priorities. So it is not Donald Trump's USDA agency priority to support local farmers. It is not their priority to feed under-resourced communities. It is not their priority to increase the resiliency of the food supply chain. And for what? To save $4 million, maybe? Maybe? Folks, you're listening to the Dom Salvia Show, 855-752-4842. And this doesn't happen just here in the state of Wisconsin. Raw Story reporting similar issues going on over in New Mexico as well with their job banks. Come back with us. Governor Tony Evers has comments on this. Want to get your comments as well. Should it be the priority of the USDA to do those kinds of things? Should somebody? You know, Trump doesn't want to. Come back with us, 855-752-4842.
Conversation 92.7 WMDX.
Judge Brad Schimmel is an anti-choice politician whose positions are too extreme for Wisconsin women. He supports a pre-Civil War law that bans abortion. But don't take our word for it. Hear it in his own words.
The 1849 ban on abortions, which, by the way, what is squat about that bill?
The 1849 abortion ban provides no exceptions for rape or incest.
What is squat about that bill?
The 1849 law criminalizes doctors and their patients.
What is squat about that bill?
Brad Schimmel supports an 1849 law to ban abortion with no exceptions. Tell Brad Schimmel, extreme politics don't belong on Wisconsin's Supreme Court. Call 262-548-7548. That's 262-548-7548. Paid for by A Better Wisconsin Together, Incorporated.
Herbal Aspect has landed. That's right, Madison's go-to cannabis destination now has a brand new location in Sun Prairie.
Wait, 4 locations? That's a high level of convenience.
With 3 Madison locations and now Sun Prairie, a great cannabis experience is always close by. Our expert staff is here to help, whether you walk in, call, or order online. Mention Radio 420 and get a special discount. So stop by Herbal Aspect in Sun Prairie, because great cannabis isn't just a pipe dream.
Nice. I'm rolling over now.
Herbal Aspect.
32 flavors? No artificial flavors or colors? How do I choose?
Easy. Order 1, then come back 31 more times.
Frosty's, West Madison's new ice cream spot, 702 South Gammon Road. Spring is here. Make your lawn the envy of the neighborhood with EB3 Landscaping. With
dancing on the crumbling precipice.
And welcome back to the Dom Salvia Show, 855-752-4842, 855-75-CIVIC. Join us on the lines, on the text stream as well. We're talking about, feeding people, employing farmers, food supply chains, the very important things that this administration thinks are just not worth it anymore. Again, referring to an article here at the Milwaukee Journal-Sentinel, Trump administration canceled program that paid Wisconsin farmers to grow 4 food pantries. Just a little bit more on here. I want to put a bow on this. And let me know if you have any thoughts, 855-752-4842. Now, this particular program, which again, the new Trump-appointed USDA deputy administrator said that is no longer effectuates agency priorities. And I will say it again and again and again. Those priorities. What are the priorities, right? Well, you got to have a stable food supply, right? Increase resiliency of it. You have to feed under-resourced communities and support local farmers. And there's jobs here as well. We're talking about $4 million, 250 farmers. 250 pantries with hundreds of farmers. Now, a little bit more in this. The program was seen as a win-win by those who used it. A win-win. Wow, let's get rid of the win-wins, right? That's efficient. The win-win. Visitors to food pantries got fresh, nutritious food, and farmers got a stable source of cash to help meet their bottom line. How is this any different than subsidizing the farmers in any other way? You know what I'm saying? Some of Wisconsin's major food banks, like Feeding Wisconsin and Milwaukee's Hunger Task Force, participated, supplying the fresh food to their own networks of pantries. Jackie Anderson, executive director of Feeding Wisconsin, said in the news release that the elimination of the program was especially disheartening during a time of significantly increased need for food bank services. Now, here's a statistic that just kind of blew my mind. I guess I don't think about it, but here we go. More than 617,000 Wisconsin residents are food insecure, according to Feeding America. 617,000 Wisconsin residents are food insecure. And this administration wants to prevent that, stop them from getting access to the food through this program. The reporting continues. The food pantry at Stepping Stones of Dunn County used the program to provide about 50,000 pounds of food for its clients, said the pantry manager Angie Wolf, including apples, lettuce, corn, radishes, beets, fresh beef, and pork. No Diet Cokes there. Like the statewide hunger statistics, need for its service has increased. The pantry feeds more than 11% of Dane County, which is one of the poorer counties in Wisconsin and largely rural. Just think about this for a minute. 617,000 Wisconsinites are food insecure. This particular pantry in Dunn County feeds more than 11% of their residents. 11%. The benefits of being able to provide its clients with fresh, healthy food was enormous, Wolf said, and being able to pay local farmers for their work was meaningful. If the pantry can afford to continue that going forward, she said it will be at a much smaller scale. To build the program up and then take it away has been pretty devastating. She said, yeah, people rely on this. They budget on this, as indicated in the next paragraph here. Besides financial support for farmers, the program also taught them about how to expand to bigger markets. Tenzin Botsford runs Red Door Family Farm in Athens, a small village near Wausau. He used the program to scale up his farm's operation and ensure a steady supply of peppers, tomatoes, cilantro, carrots, and other vegetables to United Way of Marathon County's Hunger Coalition, including culturally important foods for the area's Hmong and Hispanic populations. That's where they got into trouble, right? When Botsford received word that the program had been canceled, he'd already bought seeds and started to plant. He had already bought the seeds and started to plant. The loss will put a significant dent in his income. Yeah, I'll just willy-nilly pull it. Too bad, so sad. Sucks for you. That's what you get for relying on the government. Well, at least Republican government. Almost 40% of the producers picked to receive funding last year were Black, Indigenous, and other people of color. More than half were new or beginning farmers, and 42% of the farms were woman-owned. Ah, see, that was the problem right there. Not middle-aged white men farmers. Not all that. More than 40% receiving funding last year were Black, Indigenous, and other people of color. More than half were new or beginning farmers, and 42% were women-owned. It was in part aimed at giving historically marginalized groups leg up in the world of agriculture, which remains overwhelmingly white and male. Now, the money for the program was to be used up in June, but advocates were hoping it wouldn't be the end of the road. Responding to the termination, Governor Tony Evers said the Trump administration was turning their backs on America's dairyland and betraying our farmers. Yeah, wait until retaliatory tariffs come in. Then you'll really know what betraying our farmers is all about. The USDA said it can't. USDA has said the program's current contracts can be finished and that it will be canceled after that. It's unconscionable to me to drop the ball that hard for people who are living on such thin margins, the farmer of Botsford said. It breaks my heart, and it really makes me wonder how much pain is going to end up being caused by trying to do politics this way. Madeline Heim reporting at the Milwaukee Journal-Sentinel. And they're going after the food pantries and farmers for $4 million. I mean, how much money do we spend every time Donald Trump goes golfing?
I believe 3 million. I might be misremembering that number. It
See what I'm
certainly
saying?
isn't lower.
And he's golfed multiple times. In fact, the guy works out of the office quite a bit. He's not at the shop at the crappy White House, man. He's out in Mar-a-Lago a lot, right? I mean, he gets mad at everybody else for working remote. What does he do? So when you put it in those kinds of contexts, like how much Donald Trump we pay for Donald Trump to go golfing, and we're talking about a program here for 4 million people to keep the food rolling, man. We need the farmers. We need some consistent food supply, and we need to help people that don't have the resources. And what is it about this particular one, other than what I would consider the racial makeup of it, that perhaps got these Republicans all mad about it, than any other program supporting or subsidizing Wisconsin's or this country's farmers and food supplies? Why this one? Because I don't have the answer for it. Because it no longer effectuates the needs of the program. Thank you very much for that. Folks, you're listening to the Dom Salvia Show. F around to find out. That's what we got. And they're going to do this for what, $4 million? And maybe this, like some of these other cases, are going to end up being thrown out because, Elon Musk and some of these agencies maybe don't have the authority that they thought they did. We got a lot of court cases rolling in. They're not going well necessarily for this administration. And Congress, just giving up their duties and, let the president do it. We don't know. We love him. Yeah. What a mess we're in, folks. Come back with us, 855-752-4842. You got Trump Jr. and Charlie Kirk in town for Brad Schimmel. Go Susan Crawford. Come back with us.
Or was it all a dream?
Madison's real news and great conversation. 92.7 WMDX. Enjoying this local program? Find the complete Civic Media lineup at civicmedia.us or the Civic Media app.
For 92.7 WMDX News, I'm Savannah Tomei Olson. All this strong wind is contributing to wildfires across Wisconsin. We've had about 70 of them just over the last week. About 1,000 acres have burned so far. Today, Dane County sits at high fire danger, but some counties just a little farther north are at very high risk. In fact, the biggest wildfire is in Green Lake County. Meteorologist Brittany Merlot has more.
In the town of Seneca, the Big Island fire has burned an estimated 745 acres. Crews were dispatched to the White River Marsh State Wildlife Area right around 4:30 in the afternoon. This is exactly when the winds were gusting up to 40 miles per hour, helping spread the fire, which is currently being held on the south side of County Road D. 2 residents have been evacuated, with 6 structures threatened. The Wisconsin DNR also says that there have been no injuries and that the fire is under investigation. No DNR or private approved prescribed burn was in the area at the start of the fire.
And just be aware that we're expecting rain and snow tomorrow. It starts in the afternoon. We could have thunder and lightning, even some hail. And near the Wisconsin-Illinois border, tornadoes are possible. Then into the evening, that rain may turn into snow. Here in Dane County, we might get 1 to 3 inches of snow by Thursday morning. Up toward Baraboo, they could get up to 6 inches. And the Trump administration has launched another investigation into UW-Madison over DEI initiatives. The president's Department of Education is looking into 45 universities across the country that participate in the PhD Project. Now, the PhD Project is a nonprofit program that works to recruit more people of color into doctorate programs. It limits eligibility based on race and ethnicity. It's at least the third investigation into or warning given to UW-Madison under the new Secretary of Education, Linda McMahon. I'm Savannah Tomei Olson. You're listening to 92.7 WMDX News.
On your entertainment beat, I'm Pete Schwaba. The late Gene Hackman did not mention his 3 children in his will, but they might still end up with some of his $80 million worth of assets. Hackman and his wife, Betsy Arakawa, passed away in late February under mysterious circumstances. Late last week, it was disclosed that Arakawa passed away from the hantavirus a week before her Oscar-winning husband. Authorities say Hackman suffered from Alzheimer's disease and couldn't take care of himself after his wife died, and as a result, passed away a week later. In Betsy's will, it was stated that she left her estate to various charities. Hackman, however, named Betsy as the recipient of his assets, essentially leaving his 3 now middle-aged children out in the cold, or so it would seem. As it turns out, due to Betsy's death, Hackman has no secondary beneficiaries, so it looks like his kids will be the recipient of their father's $80 million fortune after all. For more showbiz fun, tune into Nightlight with me, Pete Schwaba, weeknights from 6 to 8 p.m. on the Civic Media Radio Network.
This is your local Civic Media radio station. Want to hear even more? Anytime? Find all of it at civicmedia.us.
Mostly cloudy and mild today with high temperatures reaching 60 degrees. However, we're still in a high fire danger. So the rain on the way is much needed. It'll move in early tomorrow morning, where we could see some thunderstorms. Winds will also become breezy, and the rain becomes all snow late at night. I'm meteorologist Brittany Merlau. Right now, it's 62 degrees.
I'm still going for it, even with higher stroke risk from atrial fibrillation and a regular heartbeat not caused by a heart valve problem. Over a 3-year study, Eliquis apixaban tablets reduced stroke risk better than warfarin, and over 97% of Eliquis patients did not experience a stroke. A first stroke occurred in 2.9% of warfarin patients versus 2.3% of Eliquis patients.
Don't stop taking prescription Eliquis without asking your doctor. It may increase your stroke risk. Eliquis can cause serious and in rare cases fatal bleeding. Don't take Eliquis if you have an artificial heart valve, abnormal bleeding, or antiphospholipid syndrome. While taking, you may bruise more easily or take longer for bleeding to stop. A spinal injection while on Eliquis increases risk of blood clots, which may cause paralysis, the inability to move. Get medical help right away for unexpected bleeding, unusual bruising, or tingling, numbness, or muscle weakness. Medications such as aspirin products, NSAIDs, SSRIs, SNRIs, and blood thinners may increase bleeding risk. Tell your doctor about all planned medical or dental procedures. Learn more at Eliquis.com or call 1-855-ELIQUIS.
John Peterson and Gordy Young
on our next show.
Hey, welcome back to the Dom Salvia Show. Phone lines are open, 855-752-4842, 855-75-CIVIC. It's a phone line and it's a text line, and you texters are lighting it up. Let's get to a few of those texters while we have a moment. We appreciate you joining us and playing along. Sherry from HorrorCon. Good afternoon, Dom and Aaron and my friends. 2 exclamation points. Well, good afternoon, Sharon. Thank you for listening and playing along. Cindy from Appleton points out, come on, Dom. Why should we feed the poor? That's not a Christian value. I thought they taught me something about that when I was at, Catholic high school. I thought it was, Cindy, but, maybe the book's changed since then. There's lots of versions of it. Hell, Trump's even got his own version of it. AJ from Madison. Are you kidding me? Millions of dollars for him to golf? This is so sick, and I feel like us Democrats are going to stand around and doing nothing. Well, we'll get in that perhaps in the next hour. AJ, appreciate you pointing out. Tom, our buddy from the leftist coast. Tom, you worked on a farm? Yeah, man. Oh, you didn't know? Yeah, I did for a short stint. I appreciate you playing along, man. I always laugh, so I think it's funny. But I guess I had to do a little Googling here during the break because someone mentioned like $3 million for Donald Trump. Was that you, Aaron? $3 million a pop, right?
Yeah, it averaged like 3.4 million per instance of going golfing.
And I did see somewhere about 200 his last term. He golfed 290 rounds of golf in his first term. Now, if I took my 290 rounds of golf, and I can't quote my source, it's no longer in front of me, and applied that $3 million, AJ from Madison, you're going to love this. My math says if it was $3 million a pop last time around, like it is now, $870 million for Trump to golf. Is that right? That seems outrageous.
Probably a little less because the 3.5 million, that includes flying Air Force One and the cargo plane that has the motorcade. So if he's staying in Florida for a few days in a row, then not that much.
So
but if he has to fly back and forth, then yeah, $3.5 million every time.
Okay. So if he stays and does, around Friday, Saturday, Sunday, there's, it's only per round it goes down because he's not taking Air Force One just around the block, presumably, right? So okay, fair enough. But either way, if it's not 870 million, maybe it's a $500 million. Hey, Doge, maybe you want to get Trump to play some ping pong instead of going golfing. You know what I mean? Get the man an Xbox, man. Get an Oculus. Play some VR. You don't got to go out there on the golf course for $3 million plus a pop. So it's hard for me to really think that these folks are serious but they are serious. Obviously, they're going through these efforts to slash what they consider wasteful spending. Feeding the poor with beginning farmers and non-white male farmers start in an effort to keep the supply chain going and keep those pantries open and full of fresh food, not bags of chips and sodas and processed. I mean, this is farm food, yo. And in the meantime, this guy's going to spend $3+ million to go around to golf. And in their mind, that's totally cool, man. That's great. No worries. No waste there. When it's other people's money, man, no waste whatsoever. They're fine with that. When they're getting the benefit out of it, when Donald Trump is getting the benefit out of it, then no waste, no fraud, no abuse. But if the USDA changes their mind about what effectuates their policy and what doesn't, to hell with you, farmers in Wisconsin, for $4 million. I mean, literally, man, just barely over a round of golf, and this thing's paid for. But that's the kind of excess we're dealing with. I think that's twisted. I think that's super twisted, and I totally get it, man. I understand it costs money to, manage the president's schedule, regardless of who it is. I understand that. But damn, dude went golfing 290 times last time, and he's talking about us not working hard or people need to work more and pick themselves up by their bootstraps. 855-752-4842. I mean, it's pretty ridiculous. And of course, and all this is being led by and pushed by the richest man in the world. Come on. 855-75-CIVIC. Llama from Madison. I wouldn't care about the golf if he left everyone else alone. Yeah, right. I mean, it'd actually almost be worth the investment then, right? All right, here you go, Trump. Here's your $870 million. Just go away. Is that what's happening? It's like a hostage situation here. I'd like to know the breakdown on that $3 million. Todd from De Pere said. Well, I think you mentioned it. A total cost for some of these trips, average being about $3.4 million, according to The Guardian. That includes flying Air Force One along with a separate cargo plane that carries the presidential motorcade between Washington and Palm Beach International Airport. I mean, you got to have a second plane for the cars, man. I mean, that's how you know you're rolling.
Plus, it includes the Trump Hotel in D.C. Rooms, which are charged at $1,800 a room per night, which is significantly more than Chinese business interests paid to stay there.
Well, yeah, wasn't he overcharging Secret Service? Right, that's the whole point. I mean, when you have a captured customer, man, you can do whatever you want. And are any folks bringing that up Elon Musk, is that a concern for you? I know I did see like some of these agency folks had their expense accounts capped at like $1. Well, you know what I mean? But again, okay, with overcharging Secret Service at your crappy hotels, that's totally fine with these folks. Now, what do you make of that? What is your interpretation? I mean, sociopathic, is that it? I mean, it seems pretty strange to me. Again, I don't think you get to be the billionaire type without having some hoarder mentality, regardless of how good you are. Like a lot of folks earned it. Don't get that, man. Understand that. Can appreciate that. Donald Trump, I'm not sure he earned it versus he's got it. And he may have been better off if he's put it in the market versus all of his little endeavors over the course of his career, let's call it. But the fact that we have people like Elon Musk and Donald Trump pissing money away left and right, and then coming to lecture us about what is efficient, what is fraud, right? What is mismanagement? And I got to tell you something, given the backgrounds of these folks, Elon Musk, President Trump, they know something about inefficiencies, right? They know something about fraud. Literally, dude, convicted of fraud. And Elon Musk got all sorts of problems with these Teslas, quality control problems, let's call it. And that's not uncommon. Car companies do that. But it's just, when it happens to Tesla, it just seems like a little, it goes to show you. It goes to show you. Is he worried about the quality? Is he worried about his customer base? I mean, Europe's dropping off right now. I saw a poll like 97% of Germans will never buy one. And so he's ruining the brand. He's so upset. And folks, I mean, I'm not a fan of the Tesla trucks either. And I did actually, when they first came out, I was like, man, I'm going to get me an electric car. It makes sense. It's better for the environment. Yeah, I'll get one. And then that was right when Tesla came out. And then, of course, now we are where we're at. And hell no, would never buy a Tesla. I got a hybrid. That's fine with me. You can burn around town on the battery. That's okay. But not going to get a Tesla, not when he represents that brand. And therefore, you are that brand when you're driving that thing around. You like it or not, I get it. I got friends that are not like hardcore righties that have Teslas, and they're a little ashamed right now. And they qualify. Oh, I got this before you got crazy. Oh, okay, but still driving it around, man. But what is it about that mentality that people like Elon Musk, these billionaires, are going to lecture us, the rest of us, who will never have those opportunities, will never have that access, will never have that kind of bank, on how we're supposed to be efficient, on how we're supposed to run our lives, and how we're supposed to govern ourselves? Like, you got an idea? You got a better plan? Donald Trump, Elon Musk? And I guess we're seeing that right now. This is their plan. And they're getting shot down left and right by the courts. And then, impeach the judges. I mean, really, you can't just take the loss, because the losses are justified. They're righteous. You can't impound the money, President Trump. I mean, we went through that with Nixon, right? If Congress has the power of the purse strings, and they determine, as they did with the last CR, not the one you just signed, that you're going to obviously trash as well, but the last continuing resolution that went through gave you a framework, gave us the framework of how the money's to be spent and where it's going to be allocated to. You don't like that, go through the budget process, work with your co-equal branches of government, and have them, come on, man, you got the Republicans in your pocket, have them do it. But no, you got to do it fast, you got to do it quick. Lightning, right? The hose of everything. Well, now the pushback's coming from the courts. Oh yeah, maybe this is actually Congress's responsibility, and you cannot impound. I mean, if Congress determines how the money is going to be spent and allocates the money, and then now the executive branch and Donald Trump have to enforce that and do that. If they can just at their whim decide, well, I'm not going to spend the money on that, although it's been, it's legal through the process. Congress had done it. It's a statute, and now it's a continuing resolution. We're just not going to do that. Well, if that is to be acceptable, as lots of these folks think it is now, at least that's how they're presenting it in court. If that would be the case, then that ultimately takes away the power of the purse from the Congress. You know what I mean? Because it's one thing to say, okay, we're gonna allocate this money for X, Y, and Z, but if the one who's in charge of making sure those things happen doesn't do it, you really don't have the power of the purse, then, do you? Do you? And it is just so beyond the pale to have a guy with a golden toilet, a convicted fraudster, a civilly convicted rapist, telling us that these food pantries in Wisconsin for $4 million that are serving all these people, no, you just don't need that. It doesn't effectuate our policies anymore. I mean, that's insulting, people. That is insulting. It's disparaging. It is sociopathic. When you're out there burning the money like you do, no problem there. No problem whatsoever. But if it goes for the people, for we the people that don't happen to be billionaires, well, then that's just total waste. Again, and what is all this about? Why are we doing it? Why are we going through these exercises? Why are we having potential constitutional crises? So Donald Trump and Elon Musk can somehow pay for $4.5 trillion in tax cuts. That's why we're doing this. That's the reason. That's the reason. Not because there's massive inefficiency. Maybe some here, maybe some there. I mean, anytime you get people in a room, you're going to have it. Government, business, clubs, nonprofits. I don't give a damn. You're going to get that. And some are run better than others. No question about it. But if I'm looking at like who's putting their, who's at the trough? A guy like Elon Musk making billions off the government, isn't he? You know what I mean? Why isn't that part of the question? Why isn't that part of the equation? The conversation of waste, fraud, and abuse. And the guy blew up another rocket and it shut down flights from a bunch of states because, oh, well, fail fast. No, man. It's insulting and it's frustrating. And I really wonder, when we talk to the megas on their motivations for support for this guy, is this what you wanted? Was your big concern that there was a food pantry in upper northern Wisconsin that was feeding 11% of their county on this? That the $4 million budget for this thing was that on top of your mind? Was that what you concerned about? Oh, these illegals. Oh, all of a sudden the guy from the Dells who was on his vacation or honeymoon with his wife from Peru, she wasn't a legal quote-unquote citizen. Well, she's out. Had to take her ring off and put it in her backpack, give it to her husband. He's like, what the F do I do now? And apparently, according to that article, he was questioning his vote for Donald Trump. Yeah. Yes. And maybe, we could have saved you the trouble. We talked about this. Maybe these kinds of actions would give those folks, I don't know, pause. Maybe look at things that we say and some other pundits and experts and commentators say as, wow, maybe we're onto something. Maybe we're not out here just trying to yank your chain. Maybe we actually are trying to support we the people. And maybe we believe in our rights for life, liberty, and our pursuit of happiness, whatever it may be for all of us people. Come back with us, 855-752-4842, 855-75-CIVIC. Brad Schimmel, Donald Trump Jr., and Charlie Kirk walk into a bar.
Real news and great conversation. 92.7 WMDX.
I'm hungry. What's cooking?
Oh, no, not me. It's your turn.
Oh, we're back to taking turns?
Yes.
Well, how about Sugar River Pizza?
Oh, yeah, now they can cook.
I could really go for some of that 12-hour smoked pulled pork.
Ooh, and some pasta. Okay, now I'm hungry. Sugar River, here we come.
And they have that great kids menu, too.
We don't have any kids.
Right. That's beside the point. The point is, I'm hungry, you're hungry.
Let's go.
Yes. And we should talk about having some kids.
Get in the car, Bob. Sugar River, Sun Prairie, Verona, New Glarus, and catering.
Transform your outdoor space with David J. Frank, Wisconsin's award-winning landscape management company for 65 years. You've seen their beautiful work at Hilldale Shopping Center. From expert lawn care to seasonal flower beds, precise trimming and sustainable solutions, David J. Frank makes your vision a reality. And right now is the best time to prune or remove trees. Request your free quote today at davidjfrank.com and get on their list for spring cleanups. David J. Frank, 65 years of excellence in every blade of grass.
I'm Dan Schaefer. Let's recombobulate. Folks, we've got to talk about Derek Van Orden. The second-term congressman representing Wisconsin's 3rd District is at it again, dodging public meetings and making all kinds of unhinged comments. as many scramble and struggle to understand the chaos of what's happening in Washington, D.C., and how it's impacting people here in Wisconsin, Van Orden has been as frustrating and disrespectful as ever. In one instance, Van Orden took to social media to berate a veteran who had been fired from his job at the VA by Elon Musk's Department of Government Efficiency. And the veteran in question is simply someone who was just reaching out to his congressman, looking for answers. Van Orden's office has also hastily canceled public meetings, and he has made some especially wild accusations about people who have been attending these public events. Congressman Van Orden.
And welcome back to the Dom Salvia Show, 855-752-4842, 855-75-CIVIC. It's a phone line. It's a text line. Some of our texters are jumping in, so let's get to them patiently here. Tom from New Berlin. Play the local courses with the people you love. Not. Yeah, right. Donald Trump doesn't even know what love is besides the money. He loves the money. Mark from Sussex, our conservative buddy, really complaining about Trump golfing. Yeah, man, if you guys spend $500 million golfing and you're really worried about, waste, fraud, and abuse, that seems to be part, up for discussion, don't you think? This is coming from a party that lied for 4 years behind a president who had Alzheimer's and spent most of his time in his hometown getting lost on the beach. Well, yeah, old Biden. How the good old days, man. Thanks for playing, Mark. Appreciate it. But I got to tell you.
Wasn't there a well-respected Republican president who served with Alzheimer's and or dementia? I don't know. I can't seem to remember. Ronald Reagan. That's right.
That's right. Didn't that guy like jelly beans? I think he was very much revered by our former governor, Scott Walker. So, Mark, yeah, we can do this all day long. This guy, that guy. But if you're concerned about waste, fraud, and abuse, how much waste, fraud, and abuse has to come out of the Trump administration for you to think that's too much? Is it $1 billion, $10 billion, $500 billion? I'm just trying to get a number. So if and when we reach that amount, I know you'll be very critical of your dictator in chief. Thanks for playing. Cam says he wouldn't even pay his taxes, and he steals our money to play golf and has the money to do his business. Yeah, right. Only the suckers pay taxes, Cam. I believe we heard Donald Trump say that before. I cannot repeat what else you said there. All right, here we go. Uncle Tony points out there's more waste in the Pentagon than all others put together. The elimination of competition for weapon systems caused monopolies for each system. With any monopoly, you get charged whatever they feel like charging. Oh, yes. Yes, we do. I don't know. No, I wouldn't worry about it too much, though, Uncle Tony. I think Pete Hegseth is on the case. And, if he's got a beer fridge, he'll work all night long. Dana from La Crosse, at this stage, the money is secondary. They crave more power. Look for Insurrection Act or martial law on April 20th, Hitler's birthday. Oh, man. Hitler's birthday is at 420? That sucks. I'd love 420.
It's also my mom's birthday.
Happy
it's
birthday.
A very weird combination.
You're right. Yes, it is. Man. Mark will complain about Biden breathing. Well, yeah, I think they pulled a Hunter's Secret Service as well, because, that's not petty or anything. 855-752-4842. Tom points out, don't lecture us progressives on money and spending. Yeah, same thing goes any Republican. William Jefferson Clinton was the only one who had a balanced budget. Yeah, and that's a great point. And again, why are we going through these machinations? Why are we going through the short-term pain for the long-term gain? We're resetting our trade policies, which he already renegotiated NAFTA to USMCA, and now he can't even follow through on that. His own deal, he's peeing on because he doesn't like it now. I mean, so much back and forth with this guy. Man, I would put this guy in charge of a popsicle stand, let alone the United States of America. So thank you, Mark from Sussex, and all you megas out there. But we do have a chance to have call it a referendum on where we stand on this election or on this administration. And specifically, the April 1st Wisconsin Supreme Court election. And, you know, my parents always, they were kind of tried to be strict. They tried. I didn't listen a lot. I was in trouble a lot. I was grounded a lot. But one of the things they always commented on was, you know, you are who you hang out with. You know, at the end of the day, you are who you run with. And not only that, when I'm out in public, I represent the Salvia family. A lot of pressure. You know, it's like saying only you can prevent forest fires. Like, only me? Man, I don't know if I can live with that kind of pressure. And so who do you hang out with, man? Well, I'm hanging out with Zommers today. I got you folks on the lines and on the text lines, 855-752-4842. And who's Brad Schimmel hanging out with? Donald Trump Jr. and the bad Kirk. Not James T. Kirk from Star Trek. Charlie Kirk. He should have to change his name. They came to a rally for Schimmel in the Wisconsin Supreme Court election. Donald Trump Jr. and Turning Point Action founder Charlie Kirk made their pitch to an audience of hundreds, literally hundreds, framing the contest as bigger than one race in a Midwestern state in an off-year election. Well, judging by how much people have thrown at this election, yeah, over 100 million, that's a lot. Kirk quoted the Wall Street Journal story that called the race the most important contest of 2025. I would concur with the Wall Street Journal. On April 1, Schimmel will go head-to-head with liberal Dane County Judge Susan Crawford for a seat, a 7-member court that will determine whether liberals or conservatives hold a majority. Here's what the bad Kirk said. We understand that these kinds of races that people don't always hear about, they can tip the scales of the entire future of the republic. And we had conservative Wisconsin Supreme Court judges here for way too long. Now, Trump Jr. emphasized that judges in several states have issued orders that sidetracked actions by his father's administration in the first 6 weeks of his presidency. Yeah, because they're unconstitutional and overreaching, Jr. He said voters in Wisconsin need to make sure that doesn't happen here. He called Crawford a radical leftist. You have to engage because it's not just about now, it's about the future. This presidency can be put to a halt with this vote. Let me just say that again for you folks out there wondering whether or not you should go out there and vote for Susan Crawford on April 1st. This is what her opponents are saying. This presidency can be put to a halt with this vote. So there's your motivation, folks. What else do you need? Joe Onslin, a spokesman for the Dem Party, issued a statement in response to Junior's visit saying Schimmel, quote, was busy bending the knee to Trump. Any Trump he can find. Oh, yeah, we know that about Schimmel, man. He was buying all those knee pads at Menards. Hey, come back with us, folks. The courts are weighing in on Donald Trump's unconstitutional executive orders. 855-752-4842. Plus, are you mad at the Democratic Party or at least the leadership thereof? Join us.
Great conversation. 92.7 WMDX. Jane Matnair and Greg Bach.
Coming up on the show, a former Democrat convicted of bribery, among other things, now turning to help from the president. An update on Gold Bar Bob tomorrow. Don't miss it.
Matnair on air. Weekday mornings at 11.
At National Geographic Society, we believe in the power of wonder. It drives us to explore, pushes us to see the world differently, moves us to action. And we believe that today, wonder is more essential than ever. Wow. That's why we're supporting a new generation of explorers to ask big questions, make breakthroughs, and bring the future closer. Wonder awaits. Will you join us? Visit natgeo.org/wonder.
Local radio for you and your community. It's Civic Media's mission with stations across Wisconsin. Find your favorites at civicmedia.us. This is 92.7 WMDX Columbus, Madison's home for real news and great conversation. A Civic Media station.
ABC News, I'm Michelle Franzen. After the U.S. carved out a 30-day ceasefire deal and got Ukraine's backing, President Trump today spoke with Russia's leader but did not get Vladimir Putin to agree, but he did to different terms. ABC's James Longman is in Kyiv.
And one imagines that the Trump administration has to reach out to President Zelensky to see if he's interested in this deal, because it is a new deal. Remember, Ukraine agreed to a conditionless ceasefire on the battlefield. What has now been agreed with President Putin is an agreement to stop hitting energy infrastructure, a mutual agreement if the Ukrainians agree. It's got nothing to do with the battlefield.
The threat of wildfires continuing across parts of the South and Midwest today, and a winter blast could impact residents from Nevada to Nebraska. The two astronauts who traveled to the International Space Station last June aboard the troubled Boeing Starliner are returning to Earth on a SpaceX mission splashdown off the coast of Florida. This is ABC News.
Your news, conversations, and a whole lot of fun. It's all on your local Civic Media radio station or the Civic Media app.
For 92.7 WMDX News, I'm Savannah Tomei Olson. Early voting begins today in Madison. We've got more than 40 spots across the city where you can cast your ballot early. Often there are no lines, and you do not have to go to a specific location. It's not like Election Day where you can only vote at your precinct's polling place. If you live in the city of Madison, you can vote early at any of these locations. Plus, drop boxes are now open, so if you got an absentee ballot in the mail, you can now put it in those drop boxes, and pairs of sworn election officials are emptying them every day. Madison's election operations are currently being overseen by City Attorney Michael Haas, widely regarded as one of the most experienced election experts in Wisconsin. And yesterday, police had to evacuate the Walmart in Sun Prairie because of a bomb threat. It happened at about 4:30 in the afternoon. An employee found a note with this bomb threat on it, and they called police right away. Authorities got everybody out of the store, and they did a thorough search, but they didn't find anything suspicious. The store reopened about 2 hours later. Now, police are searching for a suspect. And remember that man who set a Wisconsin congressman's office on fire during the few hours TikTok was inactive in the U.S.? Now his attorneys say he's not responsible because of mental health issues. Lisa Hale has more.
A psychiatric evaluation has been ordered for 19-year-old Caden Stakowitz of Menasha after he pleaded not guilty because of mental disease or defect Monday on charges that he set fire to U.S. Representative Glenn Grothman's Fond du Lac office in January. If Stakowitz goes to trial with the not guilty because of mental disease plea, the jury would first determine if he's guilty. And then if he is, a second phase of the trial would determine if he suffers from mental disease. Stakowitz's next appearance in court will be a status conference May 12th.
That's Lisa Hale, and I'm Savannah Tomei Olson. This is 92.7 WMDX News.
More trouble for the Brewers pitchers. Hi, I'm Mike Clemens with sports. Baseball, the Brewers losing to the Mariners 14-8 in spring training. Brewers starter Tobias Myers is out now with a strained oblique muscle and will likely miss the start of the season. But Pat Murphy says he thinks Abner Uribe could fill that spot. They are also very pleased with the progress Brandon Woodruff is showing coming back from shoulder surgery. NBA, the Bucks begin a 5-game road trip out west tonight against the Golden State Warriors, but it will be without center Jericho Sims. He had to have surgery yesterday for a torn ligament in his right thumb. It happened Saturday night against the Pacers. Sims will be out at least a month. The Bucks have lost 4 of their last 6 games. Damian Lillard says it's tough to play team offense when opponents get physical.
It's a tough balance. In your mind, you're like, all right, I might have to dominate and try to take over this 4 or 5 minute stretch. And then you don't want to go against, what the team is kind of preaching. So it's definitely a tough balance.
That's Damian Lillard with Sports. I'm Mike Clemens.
You can always continue the conversation on social media. Share your thoughts when you find and follow Civic Media on Facebook, X, and Instagram.
I'm meteorologist Mace Michaels. Mostly cloudy tonight with showers possible late and a low in the upper 30s. On and off rain for tomorrow with some rumbles of thunder, high low 50s and breezy. Rain mixing with and then changing over to snow tomorrow night and windy, clearing Thursday. Right now it's 61.
Nothing you could say could tear me away from my dog. My dog is shallow, y'all. Hi, I'm Smokey Robinson. When you adopt a shelter pet, you not only bring joy and love into your home, you also give another animal the chance to experience that special bond. Join me in supporting American Humane Society and their incredible work to help our most vulnerable friends. Together, we can make a real difference. Donate today at AmericanHumane.org.
Reviewing the week's legal news with a friend of the court.
Well, I'm looking forward to Saturday morning. I haven't missed one. Outstanding, just like being in school.
cool.
It has been a week in the areas of law and government and the aspiration for justice in America.
Do you
As
usually
always,
use the show
I am
intro again in
delighted.
the second
I am
hour or
honored
just
that you have
music?
chosen to
Yeah,
spend
same
some
intro.
of your weekend time
Or
with
what was
me
that?
in
Sorry.
discussion.
Yes, the same
Amicus
intro
Law
as the
Review
first
with
hour.
Jim Santel.
Okay, cool.
Saturday mornings from 9 to 11. T. Schwaba.
On the next Nightlight, I welcome Up North news creator and editor Christina Laurie. Then Civic Media Sports Authority Mike Clemens joins the show to discuss the NCAA.
Broadcasting across the state of Wisconsin on the Civic Media Radio Network and around the world on the Civic Media app. This is the Dom Salvia Show. And now, here's your host, Dom Salvia.
And welcome to the Dom Salvia Show. Thank you so much for tuning in. You can be a part as well. 855-752-4842. 855-75-CIVIC. That's a text line. That's a phone line. We got Aaron Zommers working the board for us today. Jess PS is off. She promises she'll be back tomorrow. Thank you, Aaron, for joining us today. Where to start? So there's all sorts of court action going on that's not going great for this administration, and I think is going well for what we would all consider the separation of powers, the rule of law, yada yada yada. But I digress. As I was looking up and just scanning over the headlines, I was like, oh, this is the one I want to get to. But this wasn't the one I wanted to get to. This was a different one. It just keeps coming. So as much as Trump is thrown at the wall, it's coming right back at him. According to The Hill, again, not where I was going to start, but okay, The Hill, the Trump administration moves to reinstate 24,000 federal workers after a judge's order. Well, they're actually going to follow a judge's order? Shocking. The Trump administration has taken steps to reinstate thousands of probationary workers who were fired in its efforts to downsize the federal government, according to court filings in one of two cases where the terminations were deemed unlawful. U.S. District Judge James Bradar, B-R-E-D-A-R, an appointee of former President Obama, last week ordered the mass reinstatement of fired probationary workers at 18 federal agencies after determining the government's claims that termination stemmed from performance issues isn't true. Again, folks, are you kidding me? I mean, this rinky-dink Bush League administration's going into court and lying about why they're firing people? The fired probationary workers at 18 federal agencies were reinstated after the court determined the government's claims. That's your government. That's the Trump administration. After Trump's claim, after Musk's claim, and to hell with Musk because he's not elected and Trump probably won't be again. We'll see what happens. That Trump's administration, they lied. That the termination stemming from poor performance issues, quote, isn't true. Oh, my goodness. Donald Trump said something that wasn't true. Shocking. The Hill goes on. More than a dozen declarations filed by the government Monday night indicate the administration has moved to reinstate more than 24,000 federal probationary employees. The filings provide the clearest look yet at these sweeping terminations. In them, officials at the agencies said the most reinstated workers were placed on paid administrative leave, though some have returned to full employment. They warned that the change could cause chaos for fully reinstated employees in particular who must be on board and trained again, but could lose their positions once more if an appellate ruling reverses the judge's decision. Here is Risha Trensdahl, acting Chief Human Capital Officer at the Department of Energy, wrote in one of the filed declarations, quote, whether required by operation of the temporary restraining order here or another court or administrative order, reinstatement of removed employees to fully status could impose burdens on the Department of Energy and cause significant confusion and turmoil for the reinstated employees. So I want to get this straight. They lied about why they were fired, saying it was performance, and it wasn't performance. And then they got to reinstate them. And then now, though, a lot of them are being reinstated, but they're being on paid administrative leave. So in the effort to be efficient, we are now paying people not to work after losing the court case that they lied about.
Sounds logical to me.
I mean, you freaking kidding me, Aaron? I mean, what? What the actual F, people? This is what happens. The billionaires don't give a damn. They don't know. They don't care. And they're going through all this. Never forget why we are doing this, why we're having these conversations, why the Trump administration lied to a federal judge, because they're trying to get trillions of dollars in tax breaks for the rich. Because the current setup expires, man. Tax is going to go up on those folks end of the year. They got to do something now. You got to do it now. In order to do it, they got to offset. They got to come up with savings. Good luck with that. $4 million for Wisconsin food pantries ain't getting it done, Donald Trump, when you're burning $3 million to go golfing. Just saying. So now the employees are put on paid administrative leave. They're getting paid, but they're not doing the job. That is literally the opposite of weeding out waste and abuse, man.
Plus, because it's done so haphazardly, it's going to cost a lot more money and time in the future trying to undo these messes, because you can't just put people back in. It's like, well, now you have a huge backlog of work, and now we have stuff that might be broken, or it's just making more of a mess.
Yeah, there's consequence to the lack of work getting done. And I know people like Donald Trump, perhaps some of our conservative listeners out there, think, oh, well, they're not doing anything anyway. Well, I mean, we'll see if the Social Security checks keep coming in. You know what I'm saying? We'll see then. The Trump administration has quickly sought to reshape the federal bureaucracy, including firing thousands of employees in their probationary period, which typically extends in the first year or two of their employee's role. The judge's ruling followed a similar order by a federal judge based in San Francisco to reinstate those terminated at 6 agencies after he determined the firings were illegal just hours prior. Those 6 agencies were encompassed by Brader's ruling, to the Hill reporting. I mean, it doesn't. I mean, think about this. I gotta. You know, I was in HR and staffing for a little bit, so I kind of understand, you know, hiring and firing of folks, how that goes down, right? So you're gonna have a person hired, they're gonna be trained, so there's cost to train them, especially in the probationary period, right? They're not experts yet at their job. Institutional knowledge takes a little time to get there. So they got to be trained. So they're a little more expensive on the front end. They have other people training them. They're not as efficient. So they gain those efficiencies as time goes on. They're going to take those folks coming around to get into their own and, you know, making the return on that investment in the employees and the agencies that they are at. Now you're going to lie to the judge and tell them and lie to them, but lie to the employees. Lie to the employees. Oh, you suck. Your performance is terrible. Hit the road. Oh, no, but that's not the case, because that wasn't true. Many of these folks actually, because if you're doing proper, you know, follow-up in HR policies, you're probably having some reviews every once in a while. And some of these folks got good reviews. So they were not obviously fired for performance. So now you've already put the money in to hire, to train, and not in the hiring process itself. That costs money. And now they're in the probationary period. They're finally, you know, to get out of the probationary period, they're going to be really efficient, really good. That's what the whole point is. They're getting better at their job. And now you lie to them, you lie to the courts and say you're fired for performance. And now they sit. I don't know, were they collecting unemployment at that point? If you're fired with cause, without cause, not clear how it works out and if it's any different at a federal agency than it would be for your normal mom and pop operations. But now, just, oh, wait, no, you lied. Big fat liar. And what's the consequence of that? I'd love to see some consequence of that. I'm pretty sure if I walk into a court and lie about what an action was, that I would be in some sort of trouble. At least that was my impression, you know, before the Trump years, man. Maybe I need to rethink how the world really is. But in my naive sense, if I were to go to in front of a judge and lie my ass off, especially as a representative of government, which I think is even worse than just representing yourself, there should be a consequence to that. But now you got to get back in there. Well, now they got to, you know, things have happened in the weeks off or month off or whatever it's been. Now maybe they need to get retrained. Oh, gee, we'll just put them on paid administrative leave. We're going to pay them to not work at the job that they were unjustly fired from in the first place. You know, sometimes, I'm just telling you, sometimes doing nothing is the most efficient way to fight waste, fraud, and abuse, especially if those who are instituting these kinds of efforts to root out waste, fraud, and abuse are themselves known for their waste, fraud, and abuse. And in Trump's case, I'll say fraud again and abuse again. Sexual abuse, mind you. 855-752-4842, 855-75-CIVIC. But there's more. Oh, yeah, there's more. We'll get to it. But again, this is what I'm saying. You go to any of your news sources, just pop up and look and see what just the avalanche of news going on. And I'm happy that these judges are pushing back. And not because I agree with this policy or that agency or that one. Yeah, there's a lot, man. There's a lot. We spend a lot of money, no doubt about it. And with that, hopefully we're getting our return. We're preparing and providing for the welfare of the citizenry, of us. This is government by we the people. God, I just can't say that enough. We the people, not they the billionaires, we the people. And we the people have decided we're going to put up with this, at least for now. And I would imagine, as some of you folks know, it takes some personal pain, by folks to appreciate perhaps the position they put others in. Maybe if you hurt a little yourself, you can gain some empathy for others in that situation. But there's more rulings coming out today. We'll get to them as well. 855-752-4842. Unbelievable. I mean, it's totally believable, but it is the epitome of inefficiency. Jean from Eau Claire, you are up. Welcome, Jeannie. What do you got for us?
Hi, great show as usual.
Thanks, Jeannie.
Love to hear Aaron's voice there. What about the heads of these agencies? Look at the incompetencies of the people that they put in to run all those departments. I mean, that's a mind-blowing thing. It's like, what do you do at the bottom of the barrel? And those people are supposed to make the government more efficient and make the decisions. They don't even know what half the people do. They don't even know how to do things themselves. It's just like, wow, this is a shocker. But anyway, keep up the great work. Have a good evening. Bye.
Thank you, Ginny. Appreciate it. I'm not convinced that they're put in these positions to effectuate efficiency in these programs and agencies. I mean, they're hatchet men and women, right? I mean, you put an RFK Jr., the anti-vaxxer, it's opposite world, right? It is like, well, who's the worst person for that job? That's who we're hiring. That's what we're doing. We're going to get them in there, and they're going to be terrible at it. Because why? Because it's not about being good at the job. It's about your loyalty to one man, not to the Constitution, not to the agency you run, not to the mission of the agency or the people in the organization, not to any of them, not to that whatsoever. Their only motivation, their only loyalty is to one man. And it's not to country. It's not to we the people, that be many men and women. It's to one man, and that's Donald Trump. And as evidenced here by this newest court ruling, it is not efficient, Mr. Musk, Mr. Trump, to hire people back after illegally laying them off and lying to them and lying in the court of law about those terminations. It is not efficient to bring them back on the payroll and not have them work. Just saying, it's probably not great. I mean, if you were in the private sector, maybe you'd know that. Oh, that's right. You guys claim to be businessmen. Well, Musk, if you could actually get off the teat of the government, we'd see how much money you make. Come on with us. More of your calls, 855-752-4842, 855-75-CIVIC.
News and great conversation. 92.7 WMDX.
Spring is here. Make your lawn the envy of the neighborhood with EB3 Landscaping. With 15 years of top quality service, they treat your property like their own. 608-209-2185 for expert care and a vibrant tomorrow.
Still putting off that deep clean? Let HS Pristine Clean take it off your to-do list. With over 20 years of meticulous cleaning experience, they make your home sparkle without the hassle. Call 920-932-0000 today. Why wait?
This is Chad Spate. Sometimes I'm overwhelmed by the hatred and misinformation that consumes our world, but I also know that we cannot build a house of justice and inclusion on a foundation of hatred and lies. We have to practice what we preach. At Chad's Design Build, we confront injustice the same way we confront a poorly built home, with love, compassion, intelligence, and persistence. We engage our community the way we engage our clients, with honesty and humility and the dogged determination that we can do better. Chad's Design Build, remodeling done well with love.
Do you know or work with kids who have special healthcare needs? Help them live their best lives. Contact Wisconsin Wayfinder Children's Resource Network. Our specialists will connect you with services in your area. Wisconsin Wayfinder is free and confidential. Call 877-947-2929 or visit dhs.wi.gov/WISCWAY. Connect today. Sponsored by the Wisconsin Department of Health Services.
At Civic Media, we encourage active political engagement and remind listeners to think critically about political advertisements you may hear during this critical election year. Our stations are licensed by the FCC and are required to accept all ads for federal candidates. We also air state and local candidates as well as paid ads from issue and PAC groups. Truth is rarely as simple as any political ad may claim. So again, we urge you to think critically about what you hear in the spirit of promoting authentic.
And welcome back to the Dom Salvia Show. Thank you so much for listening. You can be a part 855-752-4842, 855-75 Civic. Some rulings coming out of the courts today, pushing back against the administration's overreach, their illegal firings, they're lying to the courts. In some cases, we'll get to, they don't even want to tell the court what's happening, in order to determine whether or not they violated a court's order. Oh, you didn't write it down. You told me not to do it. You should have written it down. Because if it was written down, I totally would have listened. But since you didn't write it down, they're just making stuff up, seeing what happens. We have more news to get to on the legal front, but let's get to some of the callers. 855-752-4842, 855-75 Civic. LA Tom, you are up. Welcome, Tom. What do you got for us?
Hey, Dom, I hope you give me a second here. So,
okay, man.
Republicans hate government. We, the people, they want to destroy it. Democrats like we, the people government, and wanted to make it better. If you love your job, you will be the best for the company. If you hate your job, you're not going to be so great for the company.
Right.
Remember, if Republicans are spewing it, you can bet they're doing it. What makes we, the people, government is we all collectively pay taxes, so we all have a buy-in. Democrats need a slogan. Let's make we, the people, government great again, like it was when FDR brought us Social Security, unemployment, the WPA, etc. Johnson, who brought us Medicare. Republicans, please, list one program in the past 50 years that has advocated or has helped working people. I'd just like to give a little scenario to all the MAGAs out there. You want to buy a really nice big gift for your parents for Christmas, and you can't afford the big item all by yourself. So you have other siblings in your family, and you split the cost up, and then you can give your parents the great gift. That is the idea of we the people government and taxes. We must get money out of politics and stop the privatization of the commons, et cetera, the police, fire, and Social Security. I don't want to call the private fire company and make sure I paid my dues and sit in an automated service to make sure my dues went through. By then, my whole neighborhood is burned down.
Right.
Define for we the people the difference between private versus public. I don't want the government making my tennis shoes. I don't want the government doing other things. I want my taxes going towards things that we all share together in the commons. As FDR said, government by organized money is the same as government by organized mob. We must get money out of politics, and we must have a separation between we the people government and the corporations and the private corporations.
Well said, Tom. Appreciate it as always. And we can do that. We can. We have it within us. I mean, that's why we have self-governance, right? We can engage. We can do that. The many over the money, Tom, but people got to engage and they got to at least recognize. And I think as we talked about a lot, the money in the politics is a bipartisan issue. That is an issue. I don't know any Republicans, or most Republicans, at least, those that would vote for it, that would think, yes, this is great. Let's get more money in politics. No, the ones that are down for that are the Republicans who are the recipients of that money. They're okay with that. Republicans here in the state of Wisconsin, they changed the laws in order to allow for more of that because in their mind, that's great. And I keep saying, and thank you, Tom, for your insights, and I absolutely agree. The fire department is a great example here in Milwaukee. The sewer socialists, right? I mean, bridge building for crying out loud. No one person is going to go out and build the bridge, so it's not happening, right? It's not happening. So we collect, and again, how do we determine what our priorities are? Well, that based on who we elect, who we would hope would represent, at least, if not us specifically, at least our ideals. And there's always challenges there, right? I mean, I totally understand. It's one thing to get elected, it's another thing to govern. But to Tom's point, if you hate the government, which I don't quite understand, and I do appreciate the individualism and that kind of thing, but the reality is we're not Kaczynski living out in the woods in a cabin that you built by yourself and all those things. You can for a while, but at some point, I've seen those reality TV shows. My wife will watch them once in a while. They're like naked out in the cold. They got to survive. And they get a couple of things to go in, but eventually, sooner or later, either you don't get enough of the raw fish to your protein. You start getting thin or too thin, or you end up stabbing yourself with an arrow, or you break a leg. Sooner or later, they got to come in and haul you out. Well, what is that? If sooner or later we're all going to be in it, right? Sooner or later we're all going to be in it, and we're all in it. We're all here. You can act like, yes, as a premier individual, I don't have to do any of those things. Well, you don't have to, but we're not asked to. That's why the taxes are the way they are. You got to pay them. We're going to take it. It's already deducted out prior to. If you got to wait to determine, to Tom's point of the fire, your house burning down. Let's see, Tom, he paid his dues, but Dominic next door, man, he's one of those libertarian types. He didn't pay his dues. So we'll put Tom's fire, too late. Now they're all on fire. You know what I mean? It doesn't quite work that way. We're gonna put in these water systems for those 4 people, but this guy doesn't want it. They'll go down to the lake or to the well and they'll get their own water. No, that's not how it works. We're gonna put this road in and we're gonna get the road up to these 4 houses. We gotta skip that one and go to the next one because they don't want to pay the taxes. See how asinine that sounds? Yeah, it is asinine. And I can appreciate, I really do, man. You know where I come from on these things. I absolutely get it. Of how, the individual. I had this conversation with Maggie recently, and as it pertains to that. And I willfully, want to be part of we the people of our community, at least nowadays. But I always say, we without me is only you. So it takes the individuals to become the we's. It takes a bunch of individuals become, without the individual solidarity singers. They're not a group. There's a bunch of individuals doing the same thing. We without me is only you. I recognize that, and I do appreciate that. But also, just because you say you're not going to be in something doesn't mean you're not in it. You can say, I'm not going to be involved in politics. Well, politics is going to get involved in you. You can say, I don't need this, or I don't need that. I want to pay for this. I want to pay. Well, sooner or later, you're going to be on those roads. Sooner or later, you're going to want to drink of water. Sooner or later, you're going to need some health care. And maybe when you do those things, specifically on the health care, you shouldn't have to go bust or declare bankruptcy because it's too unaffordable. Come back with us, 855-752-4842. Are you mad at the Democratic leadership? I'm a little mad at perhaps some of these court cases as well.
Choice. Madison's Real News and Great Conversation, 92.7 WMDX. Enjoying this local program? Find the complete Civic Media lineup at civicmedia.us or the Civic Media app.
For 92.7 WMDX News, I'm Savannah Tomei Olson. All this strong wind is contributing to wildfires across Wisconsin. We've had about 70 of them just over the last week. About 1,000 acres have burned so far. Today, Dane County sits at high fire danger, but some counties just a little farther north are at very high risk. In fact, the biggest wildfire is in Green Lake County. Meteorologist Brittany Merlot has more.
In the town of Seneca, the Big Island fire has burned an estimated 745 acres. Crews were dispatched to the White River Marsh State Wildlife Area right around 4:30 in the afternoon. This is exactly when the winds were gusting up to 40 miles per hour, helping spread the fire, which is currently being held on the south side of County Road D. 2 residents have been evacuated, with 6 structures threatened. The Wisconsin DNR also says that there have been no injuries and that the fire is under investigation. No DNR or private approved prescribed burn was in the area at the start of the fire.
And just be aware that we're expecting rain and snow tomorrow. It starts in the afternoon. We could have thunder and lightning, even some hail. And near the Wisconsin-Illinois border, tornadoes are possible. Then into the evening, that rain may turn into snow. Here in Dane County, we might get 1 to 3 inches of snow by Thursday morning. Up toward Baraboo, they could get up to 6 inches. And the Trump administration has launched another investigation into UW-Madison over DEI initiatives. The president's Department of Education is looking into 45 universities across the country that participate in the PhD Project. Now, the PhD Project is a nonprofit program that works to recruit more people of color into doctorate programs. It limits eligibility based on race and ethnicity. It's at least the 3rd investigation into or warning given to UW-Madison under the new Secretary of Education, Linda McMahon. I'm Savannah Tomei Olson. You're listening to 92.7 WMDX News.
On your entertainment beat, I'm Pete Schwaba. Despite some well-reviewed films, it was a pretty lackluster weekend at the box office. The weekend proved to be the lowest-grossing theater totals of the year so far, with prognosticators surprised that a spring break weekend at the box office came in even lower than Super Bowl weekend by about $1 million. Novocaine led the way with a little more than $8 million at the gate. The film stars Jack Quaid as a man who does not feel pain while trying to rescue his kidnapped girlfriend. Last week's champ, Mickey 17, finished in second place with $7.5 million and $33 million for the 2-week total. Steven Soderbergh's new spy thriller, Black Bag, finished with $7.5 million, but on about 1,100 less screens than Mickey 17. Rounding out the top 5 are Captain America, Brave New World, which pulled in over $5 million, and The Day the Earth Blew Up, the first Looney Tunes movie ever made for a theatrical release, with a disappointing just over $3 million. For more showbiz fun, tune into Nightlight with me, Pete Schwaba, weeknights from 6 to 8 p.m. on the Civic Media Radio Network.
This is your local Civic Media radio station. Want to hear even more? Anytime? Find all of it at civicmedia.us.
I'm meteorologist Mace Michaels. Mostly cloudy tonight with showers possible late and a low in the upper 30s. On and off rain for tomorrow with some rumbles of thunder, high low 50s and breezy. Rain mixing with and then changing over to snow tomorrow night and windy, clearing Thursday. It's 60 right now.
You know Ignite Glass and Gifts 3 locations in Madison, but you can also shop igniteglassandgifts.com. You'll find grinders, lighters, collectibles, hand-blown glass water pipes, artistically designed jewelry, and plenty of other items delivered straight to your door or to family and friends. Madison's favorite for glass, gifts, and vape, Ignite Glass and Gifts, Monona Drive, Williamson Street, and Odana Road. Plus, igniteglassandgifts.com.
The Todd Alba Show.
Let's go to Ollie in the North Woods. Ollie, hiccups or gas? What's worse?
Well, I'd like to frame my answer in the form of sports. It depends upon whether you're a passer or a receiver.
That's great. Whether you're the passer or the receiver, that's the best line of the day.
20
the
seconds.
Todd Alba Show.
20 seconds.
Weekdays noon till 2 on your local.
And welcome back to the Dom Salvia Show, 855-752-4842, 855-75-CIVIC. Some court cases coming in against the Trump administration. Trump's just freaking out. All the megas are freaking out that all this separation of powers and courts not doing what Trump wants. Oh, that's right. It's not like the Congress. We'll get to that as well. But we've got some callers holding. Let's get to them. Saw a couple drop off. Sorry about that. Going to rant sometimes. 855-752-4842. I'll start with Brian from Milwaukee. You are up, Brian. Happy days. What do you got for us?
Yeah, no problem, Branson and Gavin. Your soapbox, that's a great thing. I do it all the time. But, yeah, it's nice that you guys have been promoting the early voting, because today I've seen a lot of my friends, on Facebook saying that they're out voting. And I think that's just wonderful,
Yeah.
And I even put a thing on Facebook saying, okay, this is who you need to vote for. We need to move Wisconsin forward. Because I think if you're at the point now where if you're not getting active, or you're just going to sit back and say, well, it's not affecting me, I'm not going to do anything yet, then you're a part of the problem.
Yeah,
we all need to come together and move forward.
It is, and getting that engagement, Brian, that is a difficult thing. It just is. Some people, the voting itself can be an intimidating process for some people. It can be. It shouldn't be, but it can be.
I never used to be this political. And I had a friend say that to me when we went out for lunch one day. He's like, dude, you never used to be this active. I'm like, because I never had to be.
Right.
I said, now that my friends are being attacked, my family's being attacked, coworkers being attacked, our democracy's being attacked.
Mm-hmm.
I can't just sit back anymore. I'm sorry.
Yeah. That's
all you do, guys.
Yeah, of course. Well, thank you, Brian. I appreciate it so much. And I think a lot of folks have walked that same path, and I would say I have to some degree. I wasn't always like this. Hell, man, I wasn't always an up and up radio host, man. I did some things that maybe crossed the law a few times in my youth, and in doing so and living that kind of lifestyle, you really don't put yourself out there. Let's put it that way. And so I totally get that. And I wonder how much of that, Brian, is also, as we get older kind of a thing. It's, my priorities when I was 21 are different than when I was 51. And I think that's just life. And perhaps there's age with wisdom with the age. I mean, hopefully we get we continue to stay curious. We understand the world around us a little bit more. The more miles you get on, the more experience, quote unquote. You can't buy that. I know people try to. Can't buy that. Musk, you can buy a presidency, but you can't buy experience. So I think there's a combination of that. And I, again, being one who didn't always, when I was younger, go out and go vote. I think, one of the first times I voted, was when I discovered that there's a political party. There's a political party that wants to legalize marijuana. And I was in college and I was selling marijuana. So I'm like, yeah, that's my party. And that party at the time was the Libertarian Party. Dems weren't on it. Republicans certainly weren't. And so I was a single issue guy, man, someone wants to legalize weed. I was just ahead of my time. That's all. Looking around us now, man, you can, many progressive and advanced states, unlike Wisconsin, you can actually get the weed. Not like you don't get weed in Wisconsin. You've got to go across the state border and get it and give them all of our tax dollars. Come on, man. So I think there's a lot of reasons for it. I do, but I also think, the intimidation factor, that not just the fact of it, and beyond just the physically walking into the polling booth feeling. There's also a concern, I think, amongst those folks who are thoughtful, that they're afraid they're not up on the issues, or they're afraid they're not up on the candidates. And I totally get that as well. You know what I'm saying? And some, there's time, there's energy to get yourself up on those issues and to make a stand, to take a stand, make a stand, and make an evaluation and actually have to make that call. That's putting yourself out there. And a lot of people are just not comfortable doing that. I totally get it. But at some point, I think if you're that person, there's going to be a thing that's going to push you to that. As Brian was saying, if it's, your friends or your family being attacked, and I'm not talking physically, but, certainly like LGBTQ folks or abortion rights folks, whatever the case may be, eventually, and now, man, do you know anyone who's not been impacted, affected, or heard the story of my buddy's wife or my buddy's cousin or my coworker's wife or my, whatever the case is, that they're impacted by this, that businesses are not impacted by this chaotic administration? It's hard to find. I don't think a person who would be, nope, absolutely zero problem here. Nope, it's totally fine. I just don't think that's there. So, and to some degree, it's our responsibility to make it more accessible. And I'm not talking about, voter ID, which is, you already got to put your ID when you go register. But I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about, having these conversations and making the topics, breaking them down and putting them out there in in ways that, guys like me can understand, man. Like you sit around talking about it at the bar, and I'm not talking like talking like Cheers, like Cliff from Cheers at the bar. I'm talking about, like having a regular conversation and putting into context of your neighbors and your friends and how these things are impact us. And some of the journalism we got to today talking about these food pantries in Wisconsin. I mean, these are impacting real people. This guy yesterday who was a Trump supporter, whose wife got deported, and they're married and coming back from Puerto Rico. I mean, damn, that's terrible. I'd be heartbroken, man. My baby, my newlywed, my wife gone. And the guy I voted for, I thought they were talking about those criminal aliens, like the face tattoos and the murderers and whatever stereotype image you have in your head of that person. That's who you thought was going to be deported, not your beautiful wife that overstayed their visa during COVID and found you, and you got married and you're living in the Dells and doing your best, man. Finding a partner like that and then having them ripped away with the guy that you voted for. So I hope that it's not those kinds of incidents that will make people, change their mind or vote. I mean, if you have the ability to empathize and to look at any of those situations and not to discount the guy because he was a mega voter, man. I mean, I get it. And F around, find out. Make sure I say that right here. There's certainly that. But at the end of the day, his wife is gone, and she took her ring off. She thought it would get confiscated when she got whisked away and gave it back to her husband. And he sat there thinking, what the F am I going to do now? Yeah. I hope it doesn't have to come to those kinds of issues or whatever, the healthcare thing. If you all of a sudden, we're great, I don't need any healthcare, or maybe you have somebody that's not great. And all of a sudden you get you get the call, you get the thing, and things happen to people all the time. All the time. So if today's a good day, enjoy it. Take it for what you can, because tomorrow may not be like that. And hopefully it's not a cancer diagnosis or something crazy or a car accident or God knows any number of things that could all of a sudden put you on a path to, oh my God, I $500,000 in medical bills. Can't possibly pay that. Well, bankruptcy, boom. Now you just lost everything. Oh, you had insurance. Yeah, oh well. And in those cases, man, do you wonder who you voted for? Did it matter? Would it be better if you were in a situation, had a Medicare for all? I mean, what's insurance all about anyway? I mean, a whole pool of people, and because of so many people, you could, the costs are leveled out. Well, what do we do now? What's our system now? Well, the insurance companies, they don't insure the poor. That's for Medicaid. Yeah, the poor. It costs a lot of money to insure the poor. We'll socialize the Medicaid. Oh, the old. Oh my God, those people are really using the healthcare system. They're not, we can't charge enough premiums to justify that. We'll socialize the Medicare. Oh, the folks that are in the armed forces and those kinds of things and working, in these agencies or for the government. Oh man, they're burn pits, man. That's terrible. We'll socialize their medicine, their health care. We'll socialize that. And what's left? Everybody else that's relatively healthy and relatively, in the sweet spot of profitability, that maybe don't use the system as much, but still getting charged, still getting jacked, still getting paid. Well, we privatize the risk. We privatize the profit and we socialize the risk. And that's what we're doing right now. And what's the whole point of insurance anyway? I mean, couldn't we just call all of us as citizens the pool? You know what I mean? I mean, we're already there. We're already, a third of the citizens in this country are covered health-wise under some sort of government policy, government health care. A third. You can't tell me we couldn't do it if we wanted to. Now, are you going to wait for something terrible to happen to me look at it and change your mind? Oh, it couldn't be efficient. It couldn't be efficient. I mean, come on, look at it. You ever look at some of these office buildings that these insurance companies built? Man, come on. They're making money hand over fist. Well, there's not the profit-driven motive when you do the socialized healthcare, when you do a Medicare for all. So I think there's the way into our neighbors, our friends, their hearts, into their mind, and to motivate them. I mean, it's just look around you, man. You can't tell me you didn't have an aunt or an uncle that died from this, or someone had a car accident for that, or someone was born with this, or, it's all right there. It certainly is in my world, man. I don't know anybody that's a billionaire that doesn't have to worry about these things. You know what I'm saying? And we're all in this together. We, the people. So, to the point, if there is one, the many over the money. But it's going to take the many of us to recognize that and recognize the concerns and the issues and appreciate what we have here. And it took me a lot, for real. This little experiment. And I'm a short guy. The Great Equalizer, right? Colt 45, right? What was the world like? What is the world? The history of the world has been the powerful exerting that force over the minorities, man. That's just what it was. Until all of a sudden, you think, the French Revolution, the Enlightenment, and all these kinds of things. All of a sudden, now here we are, a couple hundred years into this experiment, and we're flirting with, a guy who literally wants to be a king. Literally. I mean, got to put himself out there. And again, you know how I am about these things. That's super offensive to me. An absolute monarchy can walk into anywhere and wax you for no reason whatsoever. Is that what the world you want? So long as they're waxing the right, quote unquote, right people? Come on, man. We the people, all of us have the right to our existence. And you may not like me being short, half Italian. Maybe that's not your thing. He's talks too much. Got too much attitude about this or that. Yeah, maybe I do. But it's my right. And you don't have to like it. And that's your right. And you see what I'm doing here? I'm not making you. I'm not forcing you to believe or act or behave in the way that I do. That's your right, man. Knock yourself out. Live your life. Go live your best life. But if you want to come over and start oppressing and pushing, saying that, no, you don't count because you're this, or you don't count because you're that, or you don't get those rights that I get because I'm whatever I think is better than everything else. Well, you can think that, but you can't put that, should not put that. Of course, we have put that into our government, into our systems, it's embedded, right? Those are philosophical challenges that every single person has to address themselves and figure out for themselves. And I've gone through that whole process myself. I continue to go through that process, man, every damn day. That's okay. And you get through the day, you find out what works for you, what's important to you, but it takes effort, it takes time, and really it's about being honest with yourself. It's not about going in there and voting for who your spouse told you to vote for, who your parents told you to vote for. It's about being honest with yourself, what your own values are. And in order to do that, you got to come up with what those are. And that is an effort in and of itself, man. Self-reflection. Oh my God, who's got the time? So we got to make the time, right? And we're doing the time here. And I appreciate y'all putting up with me thinking about these things. But yes, the folks that do not engage as much perhaps as they should, or the ones that are a little intimidated because maybe they don't think they know. Hey, we all have our thing. We all have an opportunity to learn. We can all be curious. We can all learn new things and come up with what we believe our strengths are, what our philosophies are, and what drives us. Because that's we the people. And then we engage with that. We use that philosophy and then we go vote based on those things. And you know what? Word to the wise. Nobody's perfect. None of them. You can find something wrong with everybody. The only perfect representative for you is you. Unless you're going to run, you got to pick somebody. So pick it up. Hit us up right now. Last segment of the day. Tell us something good. 855-752-4842.
I did think of something good. So
is your computer so slow?
Oh, right on. Thanks, man. Let's get to it.
Screens, malware, viruses, reboots, hardware crashes. Sound familiar? Computers will have problems, and when they do, you need the computer experts at Madison Computer Works. Every day we help home users and businesses keep their computers and networks running smoothly. For solutions to your computer problems, call the pros at 231-8000, and we'll turn this into this. Madison Computer Works. Computers that work for you.
You're listening to the American Democracy Minute, keeping your government by and for the people. Utah adopted universal mail-in voting in 2013 with no widespread misuse in its 12 years. March 6th, the GOP-dominated Utah legislature approved an amended bill to end it in 2029, despite 76% of state voters supporting it. HB 300 was even more draconian just weeks ago, requiring voters to return their ballot in person so ID could be shown. Such a move would have ended the convenience voters like about mail-in voting and created a burden for rural and Native American voters who might live hours from a polling place. The Utah News-Dispatch reports that the amended bill phases out universal mail-in voting in 2029 rather than immediately. But in the interim, voters must obtain a state-issued voting ID by 2026 and provide 4 digits from that ID with signature matching as a backup. The voter ID would be free only to those proving they can't afford it. In 2029, voters can opt in to a semi-permanent 8-year vote-by-mail list, and election officials would rely only on the voting ID number for identification. Voters could opt in at the DMV, polling places, or the state's voter portal. The bill
And welcome back to the Dom Salvia Show, 855-752-4842, 855-75 Civic. Last segment of the day. Zomer's working the board, 855-75 Civic. It's our favorite segment. I know Jess isn't here today, but this is when we do it. Tell us something good. You got to end the day on a positive note, a happy note, and we will engage with you to do that. And we'll answer your questions. We'll take your questions, take your calls, and talk about whatever you want. But you got to start out by telling us something good. 855-752-4842. Let's get to it. Jack from the MAC, you are up first. Welcome. Tell us something good, Jack.
Sure. Tomorrow night, between 6 and 7 o'clock, at a building called the COPA Building, that stands for Community Organization for the Performing Arts, out in Pittsburgh, there is a jazz workshop run by Dr. Peter Dominguez, who is a professor of jazz studies and bass at UW-Madison, and also Peter is the son of Frank DeMiles, who's a kind of a Milwaukee jazz legend. After that, there will be a jam session from 7 to 9 p.m., and both of these events are free.
Nice. Are you a musician, Jack?
So that's a good way. Say again?
Are you a musician? Do you play?
I do. I do a few jazz vocals, Sinatra era stuff, and a few more modern things like Rainbow Connection and Make You Feel My Love, John Legend's All of Me, stuff like that.
All right, man. Well, thank you for sharing. Anything political you want to get out today, Jack?
It would take you too long. You have a good segment here.
Right. All right, man. Well, we'll get you back tomorrow when we have a little more time. 855-752-4842, 855-75 Civic. Our buddy Tom points out solidarity with Local 921. Yeah, I believe there's a strike going on. I think in Oshkosh. Is that the Cummings negotiation? They're not doing very good up there, the negotiating table. So solidarity with Local 921. As Tom mentions, democracy in the workplace, at work. Appreciate that, Tom, as well. Incredible talk to you. I appreciate it. Thank you very much. Also, Tom from Jackson. Good show. Well, thank you, Tom. Appreciate it. John from Oshkosh points out, don't forget, insurance companies are paying to put the name on pro sports stadiums. Hand over fist for sure. Yeah. Ain't that the truth? 855-752-4842. Zomers, man, you got anything good you want to share?
Well, I've got one here. Mark from Sussex texted in something good. The astronauts who were stuck on the ISS are finally headed home today.
All right. I mean, 9 months. Come on, man. 9 months. I mean, what? The gestation period for a human child is 9 months. What was going on up there, man? You know, if you believe the hype, we're not alone, Zommers.
I don't know. We'll see. We'll see.
Oh, anything else you got, or is that it?
Yeah.
All right.
So
That's
this
fine.
isn't going to sound like a good thing, but so I have a board game night every week with my cousin who lives in Madison, and it's canceled tonight. But it's because his wife is pregnant and the due date has arrived. So, it's just not a good idea to do it today, but it's because we're welcoming someone new to the family. So it's for a
Excellent.
good reason.
All right. Appreciate that. Congratulations to your friend's wife. May she have a healthy, happy baby. 855-752-4842. Gordy from Wisconsin. Welcome. What do you got for us?
Yeah, I bought one of those basketball backboards in the stands in a box, and my 9-year-old grandson helped me put it together, and then he proceeded to beat me in a game of horse. It sort of explains why I was a wrestler in high school, not a basketball player.
That's right. You got to get a little more physical, Gordy. I appreciate you sharing, man. That is fun. I was over at my buddy's house a few years ago, and he had in his backyard had one of those basketball. You could put it up or down a little bit, so it was down lower. And his oldest was like probably 12 at the time, and like 6 inches shorter than me. Now she's taller than me. We were messing around, and I totally dunked on her. I was like, yeah. And now she's taller than me. Could probably totally dunk on me. 855-752-4842. Tell us something good. Ron from Madison. You are up. Welcome, Ron. What do you got for us?
Hi. Let's see, something good. Well, I have a new job working for the Educational Communications Board, which gets the PBS and NPR signal out all over the state.
All right.
And I just got online to listen to you. I just got out of work. Did you talk about the Trump administration ignoring a federal judge today?
I don't know if we actually technically got there, Ron. I kind of went on a few rants here and there. We do have it up, and we do know that this administration, this is regarding the gangsters, as they claim, right? The administration is saying that these are Venezuelan gangsters, and they sent them off. They deported them without due process, and then the judge is wondering, well, where is that at? Why did you do it? And when did you do it? And so that is still ongoing. I believe they're going to have some meetings, hearings tomorrow. I think the judge may be taking them in the quarters, like not in front of the cameras and all that. So, sorry, I'm kind of staggered on that. We did not get to it specifically. We'll kind of dive more into that tomorrow because, of course, this is the rolling constitutional crises that this administration, they're, again, pushing all the buttons. Thank you, Ron. Appreciate it.
Do you have something good real quick?
Tomorrow I'm going to my needling appointment. So I've had some terrible tennis elbow in both my arms for like a year or two, and it's really helped me. I feel like I'm getting my strength back, so I cannot wait to go get needled. It's a weird feeling.
Awesome.
But that stuff helps for sure. Folks, thank you so much for hanging out with us here today. Thank you, Aaron Zommers, for stepping in. Jess P.S. will be back tomorrow. She promises, and we'll be back on the radio as well. Stick around. Pete Schwaba, the Nightlight, is coming up next. Have a great night.